Hey friends, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you giving me your time today, and I appreciate your support of all that I do. It means a lot. This video is a brief memorial for a young man named Julius Wiley. Not young, boy. We were young men once together. So Julius Wiley is one of the people I grew up with. And he later in life sought a career in medicine. I don't know what he was doing before that. He was one of the more quiet, kind of staying off the radar and not really in as close contact with a lot of the rest of us of the group of young people, of cult orphans, as I call us sometimes. But he just passed of cancer just a couple of days ago. As he found, I think he maybe ultimately found a really singular direction, which was to pursue medicine, to become a healer, and then to also have a family. He and his wife have a little girl, and that's beautiful. I love how dedicated he was as a dad. I love that he found the meaning and the great purpose and joy, unique, singular meaning and joy that comes from having a family. He's a good man. He's one of the guys I shared a room with. It was, I think, 7 or 8 other boys. Pretty much, no, it was more than that. It was probably 8 or 9 boys. When we were all kind of shoved in the large room at the house called Dixie. If you've listened to the podcast, Tales from a Cult Insider, you're aware of what Dixie is. So anyway, he was a curious guy, a very gentle, good artist. We all have our flaws. He had his own, but he was a good guy, a funny guy, a really sharp sense of humor. Really a very sensitive artist, actually. He made some drawings that just were really impressive. I once watched him draw a portrait that looked not more realistic, but more lifelike from a photograph than the photograph did. I was very impressed with him. But a singular important memory deserves sharing again. It's in the podcast, I believe, in Pennsylvania, in the big house outside of Quakertown, where Beyond the Cabin and Finding Home, or Beyond the Cabin mostly, is set. He, Julius, and Daniel, my oldest brother, and I sat in the basement, riffing and making ridiculous things into a parody of Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. It was Daniel and Julius, who seemed to get along really well, who kind of started it, and I, being much junior, kind of tagged along, but I had a few things to contribute. But we 3 songwriters wrote a famous parody, famous to us, of Another One Bites the Dust, called Another One Cuts the Crust. Yes, it's about farting. The line that sticks out the most to me is, and an elephant faints and a bear just dies when, fill in the name of the person you want to kind of cook, cuts the crust, doon, 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 another one cuts the crust. So, Julius, I think of you fondly when I think about farting, and I know that you would actually really appreciate that kind of humor. You had a good, robust sense of humor, and your family's lovely. I'm sorry I never really got to spend any time with you later in life, but I admired you from afar, and I'll remember you fondly. And I know a lot of us will be thinking about you, and maybe we can get a memorial together before too long. Get us all together again. Anyway, hope you enjoy this video. Just this memorial to this young man, who I was young man with, who's an older man. Taken too soon, of course. Cancer is a real bear. Remember the people you love, guys. And I have some regrets. I definitely should have reached out to him and said, hey, it looks like you're doing great. And tried to rebuild that friendship. But I did not. Sorry, I'm hearing wind kick up, which is great. Ooh, maybe some rain. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time, and I'll give you an update on kind of where things stand for the writing career. See ya.